who's your partner in business?
My wife and the IRS.
Most people don't realize that. And if they're going to take 30% of your money, how much should you take? You should take 32.
What happens when 30% doesn't pay the bills?
You're living above your means.
The principles 1,000% agree with, but the rest of it's delusional.
Do you know what the bankruptcy rate was in 2024? It was the highest it's ever been. And the reason being, people aren't living within their means.
What about young men that think that you should split the bill?
That's 100%.
What it is, Brad Lee, back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs today in the studio. Folks, as always, I got a fucking treat for you.
Another treat.
Phil Wham Bam Beniamino.
That's right,
What's
baby.
going down?
Thanks for having me, Brad, man. Love being here, man. This is a great place.
Listen, I already know I like you just talking to you for the last hour and a half out in the green room. Actually, the boardroom.
I feel the same way, man.
We're two alike.
Yeah.
And folks, if you guys don't know, my man Phil here, Wham Bam.
Yes, sir.
He's got an Instagram. Where do they find you?
It's Wham Bam's podcast, baby. Right there. Boom.
Wham Bam's podcast.
Yep. IG, got YouTube. You know, it's a show about ordinary people do extraordinary things. And Mr. Brad Lee is going to be on it soon, right?
I am. I would love to be.
I love it.
I'd love to be. I'd love to get interviewed by you and see what that
fun.
sounds like.
That's right.
Dude, this guy's an entrepreneur, been around the block quite some times, built and sold several companies, got a book called Money Management Rules for Beginners.
Yes, sir.
The easiest rules to grow your wealth from the day you were born.
Mm-hmm.
What's that about?
You know what? Did a lot of coaching in my career, obviously, coached a lot of kids, football, sports, and these kids started growing up, going to college, earning money, and they didn't know what to do with it. So they've been coming to me, and I've been mentoring a ton of kids, and it's gotten to the point where I never say no. Kid wants to talk to me, kid wants to come over, kid wants to sit down, wants to pick my brain, come on. But I got too many kids now doing that where, the time there is only 24 hours in a day. So I was like, maybe I need to just write a book, put it all in there, so then they could just read the book first and they'll have, boom, all the rules and everything that goes with that. So that's really how it started, realistically. And of course, I'm not a big reader. I don't have the time to sit and read a big, thick book. Even in high school, I would read the Cliff Notes, and get my way through. So I made something real simple. It's small. It's easy. You read it in 30 minutes. And if you stick with the rules, it's the best $20 you'll ever invest in your life. You can get it on Amazon today.
So what is it basically saying?
You know what? It starts out with, and I tell people all the time, and I'm going to ask you, who's your partner in business?
My wife and the IRS.
Correct. Bingo. Nailed it. Most people don't realize that. They don't realize that the IRS is one of their partners. So the first thing I teach these kids is, listen, you do have a partner. Like, I don't have a partner, it's just me. No, you have a partner. The IRS. And how much are they going to get? Let's just say they're going to take 30% of your money. Okay.
Shit.
I know we wish, right? Probably 44 to you, right? But 30%, we're just going to get average 30% of the money. And if they're going to take 30% of your money and they're your real partner, how much should you take?
Well, you'd think 70.
Well, no, you should take 32 because you're a true partner. So you got to learn how to live off of that 30%. That gives you 40% left over. And we're going to split that up. 10% we're going to put in long-term investments. 10% we're going to put in risky short-term investments. 10% we're going to put in some bonds or maybe mutual funds, something simple that's safe. And then 10% what I call the fuck you fund. At the end of the year, whatever you have in there, you do it the hell you want. You want to go on a trip. You want to buy yourself some new shoes, some duds, whatever it is. Or you can reinvest it as well. But setting rules, and it can happen from day one. And this is the part people don't realize. As a parent, you have a child. The first time that kid is born, they maybe have a baptism, okay, where the kids are getting gifts. Instead of giving a kid gifts, how about giving them some money or giving them an opportunity where you can go ahead and invest this money for these kids before they can only wear so many clothes. I saw this with my daughter when my granddaughter she turned 1, and I'll never forget her freaking her first birthday. How many one toddler clothes can the kid wear? Right? She's going to outgrow them. She's going to outgrow them in 2 months. So all this money went to waste. And it's like, man, if people just donated $10 or $20 and we put it in her fund, okay, this kid's going to be set by the time she's 20 years old. Yeah. She's going to have a college fund. She's going to have certain things. So it's just little rules like that to remind people that you can start this stuff now as a parent with kids. a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, hey, how do I become an entrepreneur? How do I make money? You know, I showed a 14-year-old kid, and actually did this with my neighbor. He's like, Mr. Phil, I want to know, you know, how can I make money? You know, I'm only 14. How can I make money? So real simple. We live in a subdivision. How many houses are here? I don't know, maybe 300 to 500 houses. Okay, so go bang on the door and tell them, hey, Brad, if I come to your house every Wednesday on trash run and I pull your garbage up to the top, would you pay me $10 a month to do that every week?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 14-year-old Phil. Yeah, and you know, and bring it back, right? So you got 500 houses doing that at $10. Boom, you just earned yourself $5,000 right there. You know, so little rules, kids can do it too. And the point is, when you get the money, don't spend it. You know what I mean?
Well,
take 30% of it. Take that 30% that's yours. Do what the fuck you want. Live off of it. Spend it. Do what you want. But everything else, boom, you gotta stick with the rules. 10, 10, 10, 10. Invest. Boom, boom, boom. Put 30% away for IRS. Now, if you're not paying IRS at 14 years old, then you're gonna put in one of those funds to draw some interest and stuff until you do have to pay them. So,
well, you have to pay them even at 14.
You do.
I think you have to make more than $14,156.
That's right. That's right.
But dude, these are good rules. You know, most people don't understand them.
No.
But then that would be a very good book for, they should put that in schools.
Absolutely. 100%.
However, I'm always a yeah, but kind of guy. Yeah, but what happens when 30% doesn't pay the bills?
Yeah, that's a great question. And here's the answer. You're living above your means, Brad. You know, you got to live within your means. Yeah, but what
if someone's making $4,000 a month?
Okay.
They're supposed to take $1,200 and live off of it?
They're going to have to take $1,200 to live off of.
How they do that?
And learn how to take that $1,200 and make it into $2,400. Maybe they got to get a different job. Maybe they got to invest differently. Well, okay. Maybe they got to work a little bit harder. Okay.
The principles I would 1,000% agree with, but the rest of it's like delusional.
Well, no, you're saying it's delusional for an adult to go through that.
Yeah.
Okay, process. But it's really not. Because
for kids, that's easy.
Let's face it. Do you know what the bankruptcy rate was in 2024?
No.
It was the highest it's ever been. Okay. And the reason being because of what you just said. People aren't living within their means.
Well, yeah, in most cases. But you're talking about somebody that's making 10, spending 10. And everybody does that too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of adults that can get value from this because, you know, you're making 10 grand and you're living like you're making 10 grand, you're never getting wealthy. You're just going to be broke at another level.
100%.
And that's the bottom line. That's what happens to most people. That's what happened to me for the first, I'd say, 40 years of my life.
Right. Well, that's because
what I was doing.
A lot of these kids today, and some of the kids I coach, they're going off to college. Some are in the NFL now. They've got some big contracts. And what's the first thing they do? They get that money. They're going to go buy a car. They want to buy a house. They want to buy, you know, all the cool stuff, right? But they're not thinking their future. You know what the NFL stands for, right?
Not for long.
That's it. So what are you going to do afterwards? You know, and it's like if you don't have rules, you don't understand that, then afterwards you're going to be shit out of luck. And that's why.
When did you start doing this?
You know, it took me longer too in life, but honestly, I had it in my, I was doing it when I was a kid because when I was working, I was picking corn at 4 a.m. in the morning before school. You know, listen, I was raised, we didn't have water, you know, growing up and stuff. So it was normal to me getting up before school to go pick fruit on the farm to earn money. After school was picking fruit and stuff. And I was a saver. I was always doing that because I was afraid of losing the money because I watched my parents bust their ass. They worked hard. God bless them. You know, we didn't have a lot, but the one thing we did have is they went to work every day, you know, and stuff. Just times were different. You know, we didn't have water. So my father would have to save up $10,000 to $15,000 to try to dig a well. And when you dug a well, you weren't guaranteed water, you know, and I remember those days. I remember days sitting over there, you know, digging the well and there's no water, Brad.
That's why they call it a well, by the way.
You know, so guess what happens? You lose your money. It's gone. So now he's got to wait and save up another $15,000 to try to do it all over again to do it again.
Do you know that's why they call it a well?
That's why they call it a well.
Why?
I don't know why.
Because when you get down there and there's no water, they
go, well.
That's
true. It wasn't funny as a kid, Brad. I was a guy going across next door getting jugs of water so we could brush our teeth and do the dishes. You know what I'm saying? As a kid.
Where were you at?
So I was up in New York, upstate New York. So Geneva, New York. Shout out, Geneva, New York.
So are you from the city now?
No, I actually live in Georgia right now. Been in Georgia over 30 years.
Like Atlanta?
Now. Yep, just north of Atlanta. And it's in a city called Cumming, up on Lake Lanier.
Well, this is legit information. for people. It's just sometimes a little delusional because if you're only making 3 G's, you can't live on $900.
Yeah.
So I always.
But if they started this way, think about this. If you started and you started these rules when you were an infant, a baby, your parents started these rules early for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you're in that position where you're living out, you have money, you have security there for you.
Yeah.
You know, so you've already built that up. And that's the whole
if
point.
my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
That's fact. Right.
So a lot of listeners are out there in a position that I'm describing. What would you say to them?
I would say, let's take a look at, you know, where you're at today and what you've done with what you have today. Okay?
Well, again, let's say they're making $4,000 a month, and their bills are normal. They're not living high on the hog.
Better go find a roommate.
Because $4,000 a month minus taxes.
Better find a roommate. You know what I'm saying? Better bring the girl to work. Better bring your girlfriend to work.
What if they already have a roommate?
So better find another roommate. Okay, you know, better rent out the sofa. You know what I mean? Like,
so you're saying by all means,
by all means, if you struggle for a few years, you'll get out of it. You know what I mean? If you struggle for a few years, you get out of it.
That is true. However, have you ever thought
drop the bomb?
The opposite may be true.
I'm listening.
Make more money.
100%. That's what I said. Go find another job.
That's not what you said. You said get another roommate.
Well, yeah,
see, you're
that
all
was
about
making more money, though.
Yeah, but you're all about
that was making more money.
You're all about living within your means, which is smart. Don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing. More people should do it. I should have done it. I wish I'd have done it. I wish I'd have had that book when I was 18.
Yeah,
I'd probably be massively wealthy right now.
Yeah.
Because I read Richest Man in Babylon. You ever heard that?
I have heard of it.
Yeah, they basically say the same shit, but it's 10%.
Oh, yeah.
So like you're saying save 40%.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, 40%.
Yeah.
So you'd waste all the richest men in Babylon stories because they're saying just do 10. And what's funny is
people don't even do that, right?
Even at 10 though,
people struggle.
Over time period, you're guaranteed a millionaire.
Right.
Like the richest, that's why they call him the richest man in Babylon. Because he was the richest man and all he did was took 10% and that 10% was invested. And that's essentially what you're saying to do with 40%.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm a realist, so I say, yeah, that's smart. That I wish everyone could do it, but everyone can't do it. Why? Because, dude, there are people, they already got roommates. They just ain't making enough money. So when people tell me that, I say, well, then make some more money.
Right.
How do we make more money, Phil?
You got to go out there and find another job. You got to do something different.
Do you know anybody that's looking for anybody?
Yes. In fact, Cost Plus Processing is always hiring. We're always looking for sales reps. And you know how much money you can make being a sales rep at one of my companies at Cost Plus Processing? The sky is the limit. You know, the sky is the limit. I got people making $60,000, $70,000 a month, you know? And you know what? I tell them the same rules. Live off of 30% of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, once you're making good money like that, well, then those rules are massive.
Sure.
Or beyond. Because like an NFL guy gets a massive contract. Well, 30% is a lot.
Sure.
So he can live on 30%. No, he can't go get a private jet and ball out of control.
That's the problem. They do.
That's how they go broke.
Yes, 100%.
I used to wonder how all these people made all this money to afford all these things. And you know, I saw a bunch of times where somebody that was living in the big house, drove all the fancy cars, had all the fancy vacations, and they were like that for years. Mm-hmm. And then one day you see them and they're moving out of the house and they don't have the cars, and then you see them and they're broke and you think, man, what happened?
Right.
Well, what happened is they didn't do that.
Right.
What happened was they made a shit ton of money and they spent a shit ton of money. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't ever last.
That's right.
So your only two options are do that from the very beginning. But if you've already screwed up and you're in a situation where you can't go much farther backwards,
right?
Or you're like me, I refuse to. I said, because again, I learned that a while back, and I said, nope.
You don't have to.
I'm not giving up the cars and the houses. What I got to do is just make more. And so that's what I focused on. I focused on making more. So there is another option. It's called make more. When you make more, stay where you are, right?
Facts, yeah.
So that's what I did. Like right now, I could have a much nicer house, and I could have, well, my cars are pretty nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could do way more than I do, but I'm playing catch up.
Well, listen, same thing with my car collections. Like I went out, I have the $380,000 Lambo, but it's like, I didn't just make $380,000 and go buy it. I actually took the $380,000, bought some real estate property, bought investments. They started paying me money. Once they started paying me out, then I went and bought the Lambo. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I still stayed to those rules. You know what I mean? Utilizing the money to make money. It's not what you got, it's what you do what you got. We all, everybody should know that.
Do you ever, when you buy those vehicles, do you ever think, man, I'm losing money?
Boy, let me tell you what. I'll tell you a funny story. The very first Lambo I bought in my life, I'll never forget. I drove it home, and I called my dad up. Best friend, we talked every day. God bless him, he's not here anymore. But I cried. I was like, Dad, I'm fucking stupid. He's like, what do you mean? I said, I just spent $260,000 on this fucking Lambo right now. And he's like, son, you worked your ass off. Like, you deserve it. You should be proud. I said, no, I'm smarter than that. I could have bought a rental property, that's paying me $5-6 grand a month.
Which would have paid for the Lambo.
Correct. And
but then when you do that, and then you take the $5-6 grand a month, you're like, I could buy another damn rental. So where does it end is the question. When
hopefully
can you finally...
You keep growing. You know what I'm saying? That's
but at some point in time,
when's enough?
Exactly.
Yeah. Everybody's looking up. Aren't you looking up? You're still looking up. Look at you. You're fine. You don't have to worry about nothing.
Only because I'm playing catch up.
No, you're not playing catch up. You're looking up. You don't have to work another day of your life. You're fine. You can get everything you want, everything you need.
No, I disagree.
Okay? No,
everybody thinks that, but that's not true.
I think
if I quit and right now and all my business is shut down right this second.
You sold everything. You wouldn't shut them down. You sold everything.
Well, if I sold everything and did what you're talking about, I'd be fine.
You're good.
But if I did what I've been doing, I'm screwed. 10 years from now, I'd be freaking looking for a job. I'd be working at Cost Plus.
Cost Plus, man. I might hire you. I don't know. Depends.
Hey, and by the way, folks, all kidding aside, if you are in a situation, that's where I was driving. If you're in a situation where you're not making enough money and you can't go backwards for whatever reason, you don't want to or you can't afford to, well then go get a side hustle. Mm-hmm. Make sure you're in the position to receive commission. That's the key. And then you can go out and get a job. Like, again, I hire people all the time. People can come work for me. I teach them how to make money, boom, all day long. But you're actually looking for people at Cost Plus, one of your companies. Yeah, always, man. We're always looking for reps. Everybody knows somebody that owns a business. That's the reality. Where do they apply? So you can go right to our website. Go to www.costplusprocessingllc.com. costplusprocessingllc.com if you guys want one of them jobs. That's right. Those paychecks? Huh? One of those checks? Well, I ain't going to say it on here because you're sponsoring. Yeah. So, Cost Plus though. And again, I mean, quite frankly, I would do that anyway. Why? Yeah. Because, dude, recurring revenue where it's at. Talk about that. Yeah, recurring revenue. Making money while you sleep, right? Everybody wants to make money while they sleep, but not everybody knows how to do that. That's the reality. In the processing industry, we're very, very blessed and fortunate that it's an industry that we can go out and save people money, help merchants, and then boom, when other people are using their money to make purchases, we all get paid, which makes it a good industry. Right now, somebody just swiped a card, we're making some money, somewhere. So that's people the great thing but you're only making 28 cents. You know what? I make 28 cents. You got $1 million accounts. Pretty lucrative. It adds up. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about it. And people aren't going to stop. That's right. They're going to continue to do it. And it's the multiple. I actually have this in my book. If you make a penny a day and you double it every day at the end of the month, how much you have? Like millions. 5.3 million. You know what I'm saying? From a penny that doubled over just a month each day. So, statistically, obviously, compound interest, all that stuff, it works. You know what I mean? Type of thing. But how long you been doing it? I've been doing merchant processing 30 years. No, how long you been saving money? Saving money? Probably the last 5, to be realistic. What, you got some crazy amount? So, do I got crazy amount saved? I like to reinvest. But I mean, if you liquefied. I'm good. I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? I'm not good. I'm not Brad Lee good, but I'm good. How do you know? So again, because we're all looking up. I think I got 80 grand in one account and 9 grand in another. All right, I got you beat then. But at the end of the day, you got assets, right? Yeah. See, that's what you can teach me, the trick. Of getting rid of the whole IRS, the other partner, because they take way too much money from me and they're up my ass every year. That's a problem. Well, most people don't understand that they are partners with the government. A lot of people think they own their own business. nobody on the United States soil owns their own business. That's right. Everybody's got a partner in this called Uncle Sam. Mm-hmm. And Uncle Sam is not a very good partner, if you ask me. No, dude. They take half your damn money and they don't do shit for you. Like, listen, they should do shit for us. That's why, I get pissed off when I start talking about this stuff, and I'm the energy guy that always wants to stay bright and happy. Someone came in here one time, I was on the news about it because my attitude, they were going to raise taxes. And I said, well, I'll just make more money.
Right.
And they're like, you don't care that they're raising taxes? I'm like, dude, listen, they've been saying that forever.
Be
first
thankful
of all,
you can pay it. That's what
exactly.
I'm always told.
Just make more money. Like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
I'm happy to pay taxes. And I always tell people, like, I want to be the largest taxpayer in the United States.
Right. That
would be wonderful.
That'd be wonderful. Yes, it would be. But it sucks in the same breath.
In the same breath.
You make $10 million, you're giving them a check for $3 million.
Well, I don't know why you're at this 30% mark.
I just use it as round numbers. It's easy math for people to think.
But like, if they took the money, built better schools, took care of the homeless, took care of the older and the elderly,
did something real with it.
Real
with it. Yeah.
If they did that,
so threw that plug in there for you.
Well, if they did that, it wouldn't bother me whatsoever. Yeah. Like, I don't mind paying taxes. What I mind is what they're doing with it. And if you see what Doge is in there uncovering, you watching the news?
Yeah, I see a little bit. I don't have time to keep up with it.
Dude, they're uncovering ridiculousness. Now, I don't really believe the media, so I don't like to believe it even when I like hear shit, I'm like, yeah, I mean, you can't believe it. But I just read something that they said Obama was getting, I think, $2.3 million a year for the last 6 years in some sort of compensation for creating Obamacare.
Really?
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
Because it's your name?
Yeah, like $2.3 million. I don't know if it was a month or a year or just something stupid. It's like, is that where the money's going?
Sure.
And then you see what Doge is uncovering. There is, let's say, and I'm just making it up, 300 million Social Security checks go out, and there's only, 194 million people on Social Security.
Right.
Like, where's the other 60 million, 100 million? Yeah. Like, something's corrupt.
Yeah, big time.
And that's why I don't think they're a good partner. But I think it's starting to head the right direction. What are you thinking about these tariffs?
I think it's a good thing. I know people don't like them right now, but I think there's an end to the reason of it all, and I think people are gonna, like, right now everybody's freaking out today. I was in the market super down, and everybody's worried, they're getting scared and they're running around, but there's a rhyme to that. I think there's a reason to it, and I think, if the smart people are buying and doing the things that they should, taking a discount off of the top 500 freaking, companies that are out there in the world today, a decade from now, they're going to be thankful. Type of thing. It's just not going to happen overnight. So that's the problem.
People think it's going to raise our costs.
Yeah.
And I always say, not if you buy American.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like, buy American.
That's it. It's a choice.
Yeah. Tariffs are on the imported goods. So if you want to buy an iPad, it's going to cost you more.
Right.
Well, I don't know if there is an American version, but buy American or make more money.
Right.
Or get that book and start doing it right. Because, I find that the people with the money aren't really the ones all upset about a little inflation and a little bit of tariff action.
Right. People just want an excuse. They want something to blame. They want something to look at.
Like, I'm almost happy the tariffs are on automobiles because the foreign automobiles are now worth more.
Exactly.
Because they cost more.
So is jewelry. Them Rolexes, different things that are made, they're now worth a little bit more.
You ever buy gold?
Of course.
Other than jewelry?
Of course.
But like gold?
Yeah, like
bars of gold and
shit. Bars, yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking to a guy yesterday I'm going to have on the podcast that does gold.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's great.
I didn't know a lot about gold. Like, there's some shit to know about that.
Yeah, there's big money in gold. Gold's always appreciated. It's gone up over time. It's going to continue. It's not going to keep going down. So
out of all your businesses, which one was the hardest?
The first one.
What was it?
It's hard as hell to make that first million. You know what I'm saying? And that's the struggle, to make that first million. The first million is the hardest you'll ever fucking go. The second million becomes a lot easier. type of thing. So it was the processing. I was in the processing business, obviously, in the beginning. That wasn't my first business. The easiest business, I can tell you that one.
What's that one?
Was the bail bond business, a fast way out. It was the first business I ever owned. I made money on day one, because I got the phone call and I got to go get a criminal out of freaking jail and he's paying me money. I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. It's pretty easy.
What about when they abscond?
We did the bounty hunter, man. I had the dog on my side, and he taught me how to go out there and collect.
Who did?
And dog the bounty hunter. So
literally,
when Beth was alive, God bless her heart, she's passed away now. But Beth and dog, yeah. So we're good friends with them through the bail bonds company, and through the bail bonds industry. So I got to know them, and we were actually going to do a reality show when he had his reality show. He wanted to do it in Atlanta with a fast way out, going after some of the people that skipped. Problem is, we didn't get too many people that would skip, to be honest with you. And, it was just a good, thank God we were lucky, because it does happen. We did get one that ended up in Nigeria, that burned us for about $120K. So we did.
Why would you get someone out who lives in Nigeria?
He didn't live in Nigeria. He went to Nigeria after we got him out.
Was he a U.S. citizen?
He didn't show up to court afterwards. So, yeah, he had a U.S. citizen at the time. So, but he had a passport and he took off. He skipped. So
I think once you get bailed out temporarily, your passport should be flagged at the exits.
I agree 100%.
So you sold that business?
Sold that business. Yep. Walked away, made some money from that. And the reason why I sold it was just exactly what you just said. I went to the side of a door. It was about 2 a.m. trying to go collect money from a guy, trying to get a skip. And of course, side door, 2 pit bulls, shotgun in my head. And I said, do I really need this? I got kids, growing up, money. We're not really hurting. We're okay, type of thing. Do I really want to risk my life over this stuff? So it just wasn't at that point, I just didn't have that good feeling of, okay, I want to deal with these kinds of people on a daily basis. So that's when I decided, let me go ahead and sell it, make a little profit and move on. So that's what I did.
What gives you the passion to help the kids? You said you started coaching them all. Like, what You've always coached.
I think it comes from, growing up. I was, and for this kind of how I got my name, Wham Bam, is I was playing football actually in school back up north. I'm actually in the Hall of Fame, believe it or not. But, for football. So football, I played football in college as well. But of course, I'm not 6'2", 6'3". So I'm the Rocky, okay? I'm the underdog. I'm the guy that, small, but back in the day, I was the wedge breaker. I didn't come off the field, but I was the guy who was going to hit you. I just wham bam. I was going to hit you, and that's when John Madden was, doing all of his noises and stuff. So that's how wham bam came along, and I was that guy. So I think just being the kid that's the underdog, being the kid that hey, you can't go to college and play ball. You can't do this. You can't. I've been doing I can'ts my whole life, and a lot of that's to my father, and I think he knew how to get to me because I'll never forget wrestling a state champion, one year in high school. And he's like, listen, do me a favor. Just don't get pinned today. Like, your team needs you. Just go to distance. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I can beat this kid, and of course, I went out and I pinned him in the first period, and I looked over and I freaking screamed and yelled. I got on video. It was actually a pretty cool video, and went over to the stands afterwards. And my father would write down all the card. He'd have his own little scorecard, and he'd have all the matches, and he'd have who would win and his predictions. And I said, let me see that card. And I pulled out the card, and he actually had me winning. He didn't have me pinning, but he had me winning that match. So he told me I couldn't do it because I wanted to prove, he knew I would prove him wrong, and that's just kind of the way I always was the underdog, trying to prove people wrong, trying to do that. Tried that with my kid, didn't work so well. Everybody's different. I did it with my daughter. Hey, you can't do this. It's like, oh, Daddy, don't believe in me. Damn. And she shut down. I'm like, no, you're supposed to prove me wrong. You're supposed to do it differently. So it doesn't work for everybody. But that's how I always was. And giving kids hope. The reality is when I moved to Georgia and I decided I was going to, I was coaching football there. I coached high school and college prior to moving to Georgia and New York. And, little kids, my son's 5 years old. And, they asked me to be a coach. I said, okay, I'm going to coach, be a head coach. Well, during the draft, it was like, okay, it was my turn to pick. And I'd say, I'll just use names for example. I'll take Johnny. You can't have Johnny. That's my assistant coach's kid. Okay, I'll take Joe. You can't have Joe. His mom's the team mom. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I see how this is going to go. I said, I'll tell you what, you guys pick your teams. I'll take what's ever left over. The only requirement I have is the following year, I want all these same kids back. Okay? And they agreed to it. I was a guy from New York and Georgia, down south. I'm not, I wasn't very welcoming. I'll just say that. So I took that on. And of course, those kids, the second year, we were the Bad News Bears the first year. Don't get me wrong. We did a lot of learning. Second year, we were champions, and I made them kids champions, and them kids stuck with me throughout the process. So I've always had a knack of, give me the underdogs, give me the kids you don't want, and let me make these kids winners, because everybody's a winner if you want to be. You can't teach want, but if you want to be a winner, you can be a winner. And that's the bottom line. So that's always what I've done, and always, that's why I said I can never say no to kids. I just can't. They're asking me for something. They're the future. They're the ones that they're gonna actually drive my kids when they're older, when I'm gone, type of thing. So when they ask for help, I'm gonna help them. But coaching's always been that part of it. Never in the finance. They just now lean on me because now they're older and they got some money. They don't know what to do with it. And it's like, hey, they're going to go buy the $2,000-$3,000 shoes, and I'll sit there and I'll look at them, and I'm like, well, first thing you need to do is take those shoes back. You know what I mean? Go buy a knockoff for $100 if that's what way you want to look, any type of thing, which I don't believe in, but if that's what you need to do, then go do that. But put that money here, here, and here, and watch it grow for you. Let your money work for you. It's a tool, right? It's like anything else.
What about when you see those guys with the iced out watches and chains?
Yeah. Depending on what level they are in their life. You know what I mean? Did they use their money to make additional money, which allows them to get that? Maybe. There's a place and a role for that, right? And if they haven't, then that's a whole other conversation. Those are the kids that are probably going to struggle down the road.
Well, why not, instead of going to get the $50,000 chain all iced out, just go get the
fake one,
the silver version with the moissanites.
Right, exactly. And that's what I tell them, like I did with the fake shoes. Like if you really want the shoe, they want to be the cool kids because everybody's looking up. Social media has ruined a lot of things. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, this is why I kind of started my podcast too, is I want to be my kids' heroes. If I can't be my kids' hero, then I failed in life. That's just it in a nutshell, because I watch my kids watch other people, and thinking, and don't even really know them. They only know what they see. Yep. And not everybody, you're a real cool dude. I really enjoy meeting you, and I really enjoy, being with you. You're as advertised. Not everybody is, and I've learned that throughout the years as well. So, being somebody and saying, hey, you know what? Be real, and you are, obviously, but not everybody is that way, but anybody can do anything. You just have to put the time into it, put the energy. Okay, got another bomb. Yo, got some more going. I love it. And that's a reality. It
is. I don't know why more people can't raise their confidence and their self-worth and accomplish stuff. And, well, I mean, I know why. It's because of the environments they're in. Number one, they have instant gratification-itis, which means they need everything immediately or they won't spend any time earning it. They're surrounded by negative people. They got victim mentality, low self-esteem, low self-worth. It's ridiculous.
But a lot of that they put on themselves, and that's the whole thing. Kids will scroll on their phones and they'll watch everybody else's life, but they won't spend time on their own. Like, what are you doing to get better today? You know what I mean? And listen, there's a place. Watching somebody, you're watching a podcast, you're learning something that's going to help you. Great. I'm all for it. But you're watching the kid jump off a freaking roof to try to get to another roof and do, some jackass shit. Like, how is that going to help you evolve in life? You know what I mean? Because the reality is 1% of those kids are really making it, right? Those kids are doing stupid stuff, doing things like that. The reality is it's more dangerous than it is good.
Yeah, everybody wants to be an influencer now.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a TikTok star.
That's right.
Or an OnlyFans
I just
chick.
like the way you said it. Can you say that again? The TikTok star. I like how
the old TikTok. What about the OnlyFans?
Oh, yeah. There you go. I don't mess with that.
I mean, there's some girl. I've never.
You got your own page? You got your own OnlyFans?
No.
No? Nobody can find you online like that?
Not on OnlyFans.
Maybe an AI generated one?
Maybe. I've never been on it.
Yeah.
I've never been on Tinder.
Yeah, me neither.
Or Bumble or any of those dating sites. Like, I would have been. Yeah. I wish when I was single there was Tinder. I hear Tinder is just wonderful.
What I hear about Tinder? It's like a hotel app. It's where you want to go stay the night, and you just play your. I got friends. Actually, one of the guys was on my podcast.
Yeah, but I had to go out when I was a kid. I had to go out and meet people. I wish I could open up an app and go, nope. nope,
Yeah.
yep,
Yep.
nope, yep, nope, yep. And then wait 10 minutes and ding, 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 ding.
Right.
My whole night's filled up.
Right. Well, that's what I say. This one kid was homeless, and that's how he survived. He would go on Tinder, and whoever would say yep and pop up, that's where he spent the night that night. So it was easy for him. So
He must have been a closer.
He got to save some money too. Think about that. There's a rule.
See, he was following your money book.
Following money bug. He was living within his means.
What about
Didn't have any
what
means.
about young men nowadays that think that you should split the bill on a date? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's bullshit. That's 100% bullshit. Okay,
You think men should pay?
No, absolutely, 100%. Man is always man. He's lying. He should always pay 100% of the time.
What about all the guys that are going to say, "What a simp"?
Yeah, I don't care what they say. That's because they don't have the fucking money to take care of their girl. Go get another job, make more money, so you can take your girl out. What
about just a girl?
Or a girl, exactly.
What about you just date? You just met her.
Yeah, same thing. I'm buying. It's on me. Where we go, it's on me. Like, you're with me. That's the whole thing. I'm not with you. You're with me, type of thing. So that's the alpha male. That's the way you got to be.
See, why do you think people lost that? Because there's a lot of youngsters nowadays that think that's not correct.
Because they can get away with it. That's why. And a lot of people, they do. Some women think they're, I'm superior and I'm the breadwinner and I'm this. And some
Boss
guys
babe.
fall into that. Yeah. Sugar mama. Fuck, I wouldn't mind having a sugar mama. Would you? If you go back in time and have a sugar mama?
No.
That wouldn't be a horrible thing. If I can go out and go to work and she made some money too, and you got your little sugar mama as well. But when you're taking a girl out, man, take control. You're in control. You're a gentleman. You're picking up the tab no matter where you go. That's it in a nutshell.
That is in a nutshell. So people listening to the show, a lot of entrepreneurs, they're out there trying to make their way. Give some people, like, if you were brand new, just getting started, what would you do to get your business established and scaling?
First thing I do is find your passion. You got to find your passion, what you enjoy. Okay. Because if you enjoy doing what you're doing, work's easy, right? And that is step one. Step two is go around and talk to all your friends. Okay. All the people that you know first. Get them in your circle, okay? Because it's all about groups. People that can move in groups can get there a lot faster. It's like in anything, it's the snowball factor, right? That's just a reality. Kind of saying the same thing to you earlier. You got your new little venture that you're doing and you're growing it. I mean, there's no reason why your friends should be saying no to be doing business with you.
Especially with that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, especially when you're saving somebody money.
I went around at one point and told everybody, if you're not doing it, then you're not my friend.
Right.
You're just saying you're my friend.
You're
why wouldn't you want your friend to have the business? Why would you give your business and pay more
right
outside of your friendship and people you don't even know?
Because they don't want you to know the real about them. They're afraid that you might get into their finance. What they're doing, and it might not be as big enough. And I don't want Brad to know this is what I make and X, Y, Z. And it's all bullshit. Then you're not serious about making more. That's just it in a nutshell. Like I want you to know. Because you can help me grow, and that's how they should look at it too. They should be like, well, if I'm in a good space, then he's going to learn from me. And if I'm in a bad space, then I'm going to learn from him. But that's the greatest thing about it. And putting yourself in those circles is what you need to be doing. And that's something I think a lot of people too, is you talk about scaling, you talk about growing. People don't put themselves in the circles. They don't invest in themselves. They'll invest in their business, but they don't invest in themselves. When do they start investing in themselves? Is when things go bad. They get a breakup, right? You lose your girl. Oh, I got to start looking better. I better get back to the gym. I better start working out, right? I mean, that's just it. All of a sudden, you lost your job. You're down. Oh, shoot. I got to start work. Maybe I should try something different. Maybe I go back to school. Maybe get another education. Maybe I'll get another degree.
Do you have a degree?
I do have a degree. I did. I went to college. I went to Hobart College, Division III.
What'd you get?
Football. So I got a psychology degree. I got a degree in psychology. I was going to be a school psychologist. And turned out I was a salesman, just a scummy old salesman from what people, and that's the funny thing too. Some of my friends even say that today, like, we'll get into a little bit of a conflict here and there, and they'll be like, don't even talk to me because you're just going to give me some salesy approach. You got a rebuttal to everything. And I'm like, you say that like it's a negative thing. The reality is I'm right. What I'm saying makes sense. And you didn't realize that. Like, you're a musician. You're great with a guitar. I'm great in sales is what I do. I'm blessed with that.
Do you think sales can be learned?
Sales can definitely be learned. Okay. But what can't be learned is to want to sell. Okay. And that's the hardest part. People say all the time, my company, what's the hardest thing? Okay. In your company, if I come work for you, what's the hardest thing I'm going to face? Okay. What is my competition? And I always tell them it's the man in the mirror. It's the person that you're looking at as your competition. And the hardest thing is showing up, getting your ass out of bed and going out there and doing it, because people don't like rejection. People, I mean, we don't want to be rejected, right? We don't like the no's, but it's how do you spell no? Do you spell no N-O or do you spell it K-N-O-W? I need to know more, it's how you look at it. It's your perception. And that's what makes people survive and makes winners, and what makes people crumble and they design out, this isn't for me.
People don't realize they get paid even when someone says no.
Yes.
All you have to do is do the math. Mm-hmm. You talk to 10 people, one buys, you make $1,000.
Right.
Someone says, see, I didn't make any money when they said no. That's not true. You take that $1,000 and divide it into the 10 people, you made $100 every time, whether they said yes or no.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? Boom, drop the bomb. I like
right.
it.
That's right. And all salespeople, pay attention.
Yeah.
Every time you get a no and you let your mindset get ruined, and then that affects your home life, it affects everything. All you have to do is just remember, I get paid whether someone says yes or no.
And I used to say that on the reverse side when I meet a new client, and the client be like, I don't want to do business. And it's like, listen, you're just trying to make a sale up, and you just want to make money off of me. And that's exactly what's the first thing I would say is like, listen, I'm going to get paid either way. I'm getting paid no matter what. Okay. So you can do business with me today, or you can do business a week from today or a year from today. You're going to eventually do business with me, but just know this, I'm going to get paid either way. Whether you want to do it today or next year or whenever, I'm still getting paid, because that's the way it is. Residual money, it's coming in every single month, and you're not going to stop that. I'm just going to continue to grow it, so that's it. The unfortunate part is when people get comfortable. They get comfortable, they get a little bit of money, they get happy, and then all of a sudden there's golf outings, and we're playing more golf. And you know what? We're going on more trips. We're going to do a little more family vacations and stuff.
Do you think there's ever a time for that?
I think there's definitely a time for that. When is the right time is what matters. I mean, I'll tell you myself, for many, many years, actually for 20 years, I came to Las Vegas for New Year's. And I'll tell you why, is because I never took any time off until Christmas night. I'd open up the kids' gifts on Christmas morning. And then Christmas night, after I tucked them in, they went to bed. I'm on a plane. I was here in Vegas for 1 week till New Year's, because that was the 1 week that I could just do whatever I wanted and shut down. And Vegas was the only place that's open 24/7. You can do whatever you want when you want in Vegas in that week. And I didn't have to worry about it. And in our industry, nobody wanted to see it after the first of the year anyways. So that was the week I chose. Because it's the holidays. People are traveling on holidays. It's, they're getting ready for New Year's, it's Christmas. They're spending a ton of money. Businesses are open. They're dealing with, that's their busiest
returns.
times.
They're busy.
Right, exactly. So come see me the first of the year. Not that you can't get business. You can get set up to get businesses and stuff. But that was the 1 week after doing the math for many, many years, realizing that was the worst week of the month or of the year.
When's the prime season for that business?
April, October, the 2 years when Visa MasterCard goes up, those months when rates start jumping, and you tell a merchant, look at your statement, man. They just raised the rates last month.
Why?
On you. Because they can. 2 months out of every year is when they have to put, if they're going to go up in rates, that's when they are, and they have to state it on their statements 30 days prior. So if you look at those statements, and it might just, interchange, there's over 200 different card types and brands that are out there. It might just be one card that went up, but it's going to show up in the statement. It's going to say, hey, you may see a rate increase of 2 basis points coming the following month. And you can always use that as a tool to say, hey, you're going to end up spending more money.
Explain to me basis points.
Basis points. Basis points is 1/100th of a percent. So 0.0001.
So 20 basis points.
It's 0.020%. Okay, of a dollar.
It's 0.0002
or 0.020. Okay, percent.
So it's out of $1,000, it'd be
$20. It's $20. 20 basis points on $1,000 is $20.
Yeah, so it's 1/10.
Right.
It's a tenth.
Right. 1 basis point is 1/100th of a tenth. Yeah.
100th?
0.0001.
So why don't they just say what it is?
Well, that's what it is, banking terms. But merchants don't deal with banking terms. Let's be honest. The chef that owns a restaurant, he's a great chef. He can make the shit out of food, but he ain't the greatest business person. You see what I'm saying? The mechanic, he can turn wrench like nobody else, but he ain't the great business person. So it's our job, when we're going in there to explain these numbers to them so that the numbers can make sense so they understand that. But in the processing world, it's clicks. It's clicks and numbers.
How does American Express make money if you pay off the bill every month?
They make money off of the float. They make money many different ways. Okay.
Well, they're floating me money.
They are floating you money at times, right? And they also have money that's sitting there and being floated as well, of your money, of the processing money.
Well, I always pay it off, and I always think like it's zero interest as long as you pay that shit off.
Right. It's zero to you, right? But
and
there's
the merchant.
But there's an exchange through the bank, and the banks pay on exchange, and they also pay on, like I said, sweep accounts through the Federal Reserve. They're making money off the sweep because they're holding money as well. That can be done. If I'm holding $100,000 of your money for a month before I release it to you, then I'm going to make a percentage off of that money that's being held.
Yeah, that's a float, though, right?
Yeah, it is a float.
What's a sweep?
So sweep account, where they sweep it every day on a daily basis, where, the Federal Reserve, they sweep the account and they're going to make interest rate off of that as well.
What about these things called MCA loans?
MCA loans are out there. They're expensive. Stay away. Okay. Merchants love them. Merchants love them because they get money, but they are costly. And
very costly.
Very costly, of course, because they're going to take a percentage off of every transaction that they're going to process, and they're out there. But man, I'll tell you what, they'll get you in trouble. And any merchant that is ours that ask for that, we loan money too, but I give them real terms. I don't try to take it daily. I don't try to do it. I'll do it monthly, just like a monthly payment, based on the business and stuff. And I'll explain to them why I do that. If they want it up front and they want to go a different rate, there's companies out there for that. I'll send them to them, but I don't advise it. I don't advise it.
So when are you going to retire?
When am I? Never. I'll never retire. When I'm dead, that's when I'll retire. I gotta, you gotta have a purpose. Why retire? God put us here for a reason, right? Share what you got, and continue to grow, continue to get better.
Well, let's talk about your podcast, Wham Bam Podcast.
Yeah.
How long ago did you start it?
Just about 2 years now.
And how many episodes you got?
Got about 100 episodes in.
Dang, so you're a legit podcast.
Yeah, we're legit, man.
When you say we, why are you saying we? Who is it?
Well, me and my company with it. I got, producers behind it and stuff that work with me. I got some young people. I got my film guys, and stuff. So that, we're in it together. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it for that. We said that, hey, anything we make, we'll give back. It's just about...
Give back to who?
Whoever we need to. We're not at that phase yet, Brad. We're only two years into it. We're not at that phase yet. But, the reality is, we've had some great guests. But, you can have, like we've had Ruben Stutter. We've had John Bobbitt is actually going to be released in a week.
John Bobbitt?
Yeah. Got his penis cut off.
Yeah. One time, people don't believe this, but it's true. One time I was moving and I called a mover. And he came as one of the movers.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And he was just talking, and it was fascinating to talk to him, and because of his whole story.
Right.
And I had to leave, and he just kept talking, and I didn't. I accidentally said, "Bro, I hate to cut you off,
right,
but I gotta roll." And everyone's like, "You didn't say that." I swear to God, I said it. and he started laughing. I started laughing. But can you imagine getting your shit cut off,
dude? It's unbelievable. And he actually just broke his silence. He has never talked about it. I'm actually the first one that he actually talked about it. And now they're going to be doing an exclusive documentary on his side of the story.
Everybody listening, if you guys want to hear the exclusive John Bobbitt, if you guys are like, who's John Bobbitt?
We launch every Wham Bam Wednesday. So it's every Wednesday we launch our episode. So it won't be this Wednesday, it'll be the following Wednesday. So it comes out.
And where do they go? Apple?
They go, no, it's right on YouTube. So our YouTube channel.
So it's a YouTube video.
Yep, YouTube channel. Yep.
But that's not a podcast.
So it's a show.
Yeah, but you said earlier you're looking to blow it up.
Yeah, I want to blow it up.
Okay, so number one, you gotta get it on more than just YouTube.
Right.
Like I'll get hundreds of thousands of downloads, audio.
Yeah.
And I'll get 4,000 or 5,000 YouTube views.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so
Make a note of that.
it's like massive difference, bro. a podcast 9 times out of 10 is audio.
They want to hear it.
But what I do is I film it and I put it on YouTube as shits and giggles.
Right.
Like, yeah, if they're there and they see it, great. But the big podcasts, they're all mainly audio.
Really?
So yeah, so you want to go get Libsyn, that's the one I use, because I Googled what Joe Rogan used and that's what he used.
There you go.
But you go get Libsyn, you set up a Libsyn account, and then you film it the same way, but you take the audio, and you post it on Libsyn, and then Libsyn shoots it out to SoundCloud, Spotify, and all these other platforms. And that's where real podcast listeners are. Right. YouTube, people are looking for fucking cat videos riding on robot
or guys
vacuums
that got their dick cut off.
Yeah, but I mean that's more. I mean, YouTube's cool, but it's different. Podcast fans are not listening on YouTube.
No, that's good advice. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so you might get a whole lot more traction just by getting it on.
Yeah, we're young, man. We're still learning. We're learning every day, every week.
Well, dude, most people never get past 10 episodes. Yeah. So the fact that you're at 100, that's legit.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now you got to get out on the platforms, the real podcast platforms.
Yeah.
And shit, dude, you'll be surprised how fast it grows then.
Yeah. It'll be fun. Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you for sharing that. So,
well, folks, he's not on there yet. So all my podcasters, go to YouTube, at least for the John Bobbitt one. Yeah. I know I'm going to go watch.
And Brad Lee's coming up soon.
Bradley will get on that show. Hey, what did he talk about? Like, what did he break his silence? Everyone knows what happened.
Well, they know he got his dick cut. That was pretty much it. But they don't know his side of it all with her. Right? They don't know the investigation side of what went down within the investigation and everything. So that's
in a nutshell, what happened?
She's narcissistic. She,
well, again, according to him.
Yeah. See, I don't really watch the podcast. Well,
what do you expect him to say? She was lovely.
The funny thing about it, I'll tell you this, I found interesting because I didn't realize this once because the guy's dick cut off. And of course, luckily they found it. The cops found it at a 7-Eleven. Okay. And they actually put it in a hot dog box, ironically, right, to bring it to the hospital. And they brought it back to the hospital and they did sew it back on. And he took a lot of flack. So he went to a lot of PTS because girls said, oh, your dick's broke. It doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. So he actually did porn. Okay, to prove that his dick worked, so he talked
about how do you get it to work again?
Man, I'm not a doctor.
And where did she cut it off?
But I'll take his word for it.
But where did she cut it off at? The base?
No, right at the boom, sliced it right there at the tip of the mushroom, man, right there. The whole thing.
So
there's a picture on it. You go online.
So he only lost the tip.
He lost the main part of it, but. A tip and some meat.
Hey, the main part is not the tip.
The tip and the meat. And some of the
might
meat.
be for you.
You didn't take the balls out. Yeah, I got you.
Well, I mean, if your tip's you got most of it.
Well, if you don't get the tip in, you know what I'm saying? Like, then you're not in at all.
Well, I was thinking like she grabbed it and sliced it at the root.
Yeah, well, her root was maybe half. I wasn't there. But there's a picture you can pop up and see online. You can Google it and see.
And it shows it?
Yeah, it shows it. Yeah, you pull it up right now. You can take a look at it.
See, now if I'm in my other studio that I just built, I'll be able to say, hey, pull up John Bobbitt's
pull
dick.
Pull up that picture. Well, pull it up for him, man. Let him see what his dick looked like cut off.
Damn, dude. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. You can't, that's the whole thing. And I said, this is what I didn't understand. I'm like, how did you fall? Like, you were sleeping. And you woke up to her just cut your dick off and you didn't move. Like, what? Take me through the process of that. You know what I mean? And then I asked him now, I'm like, do you sleep naked or do you sleep with clothes on now? Because I got to imagine you want to sleep with clothes on knowing that your dick can get cut off because people have done it to you before.
Well, didn't he cheat on her or something?
That's what she said. That's not the story.
Well, why would she cut his dick off then?
She assumed that something happened that didn't happen. So, false accusations.
My question would be, did you beat her ass?
He was fucking bleeding. He was trying to stay alive at that point. I mean, he thought he was going to bleed out and fucking die from his dick getting cut off. You know what I mean? And she laughed.
But I mean,
she left and threw it out the window. Imagine driving down the road and throwing it out the fucking window. Like, how bizarre is that? That's not a normal thing. It's pretty extraordinary. So that's why he's on the show.
How big was it? Like, how do you find the tip of a dick?
That's what very, very lucky. I think it was God's gift back to him.
Unless it was like freaking 19 inches or something.
It wasn't.
So, because I mean, you would think if I woke up and some girl just sliced.
Just know your wife could do this if she's mad at you.
Well, no more punching a girl rule would go out the window.
Yeah.
I'd jump out of bed and start wailing on, I don't care if it's a female or not. You just cut my dick off.
Right.
You're getting some hands.
She thought he was in a hotel at Holiday Inn with another chick. He turns out he was at Denny's eating breakfast with a guy. And that's what she went off of. So, and then she tried to supposedly apologize afterwards, after she cut his dick off and realized, afterwards that he was at Denny's.
Wasn't her name Elena?
Lena Lobbit, or Bobbitt.
Elena Bobbitt.
Yeah.
So, Elena, if you're listening, I want you on my show. We'll get the other side of the story.
Yeah.
Because there's always two sides.
Of course. But you've heard hers. She's actually out. She's put hers out. She's got a documentary and all that. That's why now he's coming out with his.
She went to jail, didn't she?
Oh, yeah, she did. She did. She went to jail, but not for very long. And that's part of what John's upset about, too. Because...
Well, John was a good dude when I talked to him. Like
he's great. I mean,
he was moving.
Good to talk to.
He was a mover.
Yeah.
Like he just, moving furniture.
Right.
And he was cool.
Right. He was just a good looking guy back then. And, he was a little playboy. You know what I mean? Girls hit on him and liked him.
What's he doing now?
So, well, now he actually lost his feet. He lost his toes.
From what?
Okay. Well, when he was in the service, he got some bad bacterial water out of the country, and it turned into losing his toes, and he got a settlement for it. He got paid some really good money. So
he doesn't work?
Nah, you don't have to work. He's disabled. So
where does he live?
So he lives in Florida. He lives in Florida, down near Tampa.
Well, I wish him well.
Yeah.
Anybody that gets their shit chopped off deserves a nice, easy life.
Yeah, no, dick, toes. But but the funny thing, he's just a good spirit. He makes fun of it. He laughs. Like, he stays positive about it. He turns it around. Like, he was making me crack up. I was like, we're going to chop this up. No pun intended.
How did you get him?
So I'm actually in a movie in June. So I'm in a movie called Blood Money 2, and the director of the movie and stuff actually is doing the documentary on him. So
you're in a movie?
I am.
What, as yourself, or
I'm in Vinny the Viper. I'm Vinny the Viper.
And what do you? You're an actor too?
I am now. So it's on the resume. Yes, sir.
And so what's Vinny the Viper's role?
So Vinny the Viper, I'm actually, I have a pretty big role. I'm actually, I am a mob. Can you imagine that? A mob guy from New York holding down a drug operation. So.
But I mean, you're acting. It's not just you playing you.
No, I'm playing Vinny the Viper.
How'd you get that role?
I'm Vinny. So. A buddy of mine who was on my podcast, who actually has the lead in Blood Money 1, actually brought me down and said, hey, you want to do a cameo? We'll put you in one of my scenes in the first one. So I flew down to Tampa. Like, yeah, I can do that. I flew down to Tampa, and I was in the first scene. And when I was out there, the couple of the directors there said, hey, we're going to put you through a quick audition. They asked me to do a few things, and I did it pretty well. And they're like, you never acted before in your life? And I said, I'm in sales. I act every day. You know what I'm saying? So tell me what you want, and then I'll give it to you, type of thing. So they were pretty amazed with it. So they ended up giving me a line, just one line in that movie. And they said, if we do a Blood Money 2, we'd like to make you a supporting role. Would you be interested in that? And I said, sure, why not? Why wouldn't I? Shit, let me throw that on the resume. Why not do it? It's cool, good experience. So it's an indie film, but
where do people watch that?
Fun. They'll go on Netflix.
So what do you do? Explain what a day looks like for Phil Wham Bam Beniamino.
Wham Bam Beniamino. The day looks like it's always chaotic sometimes.
Like, when do you wake up?
When do I sleep?
No, when do you wake up?
Like I said, when do I sleep? I'm up typically by 7 a.m. every morning, but I probably go to bed maybe 3 or 4 at nights. And if I go to bed earlier, I'm up at 3 or 4, and that's when I wake up. So I average about 4 hours of sleep a night. That's about it.
You don't think that's bad for you?
It is bad, but I've done all the sleep hacks. Trust me, like I said, I'm working with Gary Brecka, exclusively. Thank God he saved my life. Didn't even tell you that story. I almost died in Italy a couple of years ago.
What for?
So got a bad case of vertigo there, along with a virus. Got sepsis in this whole arm. And of course, I was in Sorrento. And if you want to know why people died with COVID from Italy, I'll tell you why. The hospital don't take care of you there. So they literally put me in. I sat out in the ambulance for about 45 minutes before they even brought me inside. And then when I got inside, They put me in the hallway for hours. They were giving me a diurect that was taking fluids out of me instead of putting fluids in me. And the whole time I'm spinning, I can't stop spinning. I don't know what the hell's going on.
What'd that feel like?
Oh, dude, it was the worst. I thought it was an aneurysm. Listen, it was the first time in my life. I mean, I had David Goggins in my head saying, you're not going to fucking die like this. Like, I'm biting down on my tongue, getting my saliva to try to drink my spit because I couldn't move. Nobody speaking English. So, I'm sitting there, I'm going, help me. I was praying. Me and God got real close that day, and for the first time in my life, I was like, holy shit, I just took the family to Italy for a family trip, took my mother, my kids, my sister and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking die in Italy. And I'm like, I'm not ready to fucking die. I like life too much. This is not the way I want to go out. Luckily, my son-in-law broke me out of there. After the first day, I'm pissing myself. They didn't change, nothing. Like you can't stop any. I can't move. They went to do an MRI, and the guy says we're gonna cut them open. They're gonna do brain surgery on me. They wanted to cut my fucking skull open and do brain surgery. And I said, no. I'm screaming, yelling. Don't. Luckily, my son-in-law broke in. I said, Keen, you gotta get me the hell out of here. They want to freaking cut open my brain. And I said, that ain't happening. So he did.
Damn, we should started with this.
He did. Listen, this is how the podcast.
Now it's getting goodness at the end.
This is how the podcast got started. Listen to my first episode, which is a true podcast because we didn't have video at the time, so it's just sound. Because everybody kept calling me, asking me what the hell happened, and I was like, Rocco, my son, said, Dad, why don't you? Pop always said do a podcast. You need to get your stuff out there and write a book and do all these things. He's like, now's a good time because you're home. Because I had a port in my arm for 18 weeks. I couldn't fucking go nowhere. They were just, I didn't know I was going to lose my arm for Christ's sakes and stuff. And
what caused it?
To this day, nobody freaking knows. And the whole American, health system had no fucking clue either. They're just like, just can't help you. Like literally, I was learning how to walk again on a leash like a freaking dog because I didn't have no balance whatsoever. They talk about the 3 little crystals in your ears and this is what happens, but it came out of nowhere and stuff. So,
what did it feel like though?
Oh, dude, it's everything's spinning. It feels like you're super fucking drunk. Have you ever been drunk where you're just spinning and you just throw up, but it don't stop?
Only if I was drunk and then smoked weed.
Okay. You spinning?
Then you get the spins and feel sick.
Yeah. Okay. Well, take that, multiply by 10, and don't let it shut off for 4 or 5 weeks. Tell me how that feels.
It would not feel good because one day, I don't remember what it was, but I came up out of bed and it went, whoo, and I went, whoa. And I got up and it was like, kind of like, whoa. It was weird. And then it would go away and then just hit me a little bit, but it wasn't like that. It was like light.
Right.
And I had a buddy who was a chiropractor and he said there was some move, but that's when he told me about those crystals in your ear.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I mean. That's how you know there's a creator, dude. How do we have crystals in our ear that give us balance?
All little things. And you can't they just all of a sudden one day they just changed on you. And all of a sudden your whole body's different now.
Well, sometimes it can happen. Yeah. So he had me do this little neck maneuver and look to the side and then look to the side and then there was some maneuver that's supposedly well known.
I did it all.
And it went away, thank God.
Thank God for you. It didn't go away from me.
When you said vertigo, I thought, damn, dude,
it didn't go away from me. And let me tell you what, I'm fortunate. When Kean broke me out, they rented a van, they laid me down, drove me to Rome.
Were you spinning while you were laying down?
Yeah, it was fucking miserable. Absolutely miserable.
If you closed your eyes, what would you feel?
Get worse. That was the whole thing. When you close your eyes, it got worse. So you try to keep it, but then you had a problem with light. So you want to be in the dark. So you're sitting in the dark with your eyes open. So when I got to Rome, I was like, they wanted me to go to hospital. I'm not going to hospital. You bring a doctor to me because they're not cutting me open. I didn't want this. I want to get back to America. Get me on a fucking plane, get me back to America. Well, I couldn't get on a plane because I had no balance. Couldn't get nowhere. So finally ended up luckily, I was flying Delta One, so they laid me down. I was like Stevie Wonder going through the airport with freaking goggles on, and my kids put me in a damn wheelchair and wheeled me through and laid me down. Got to the States immediately. They admitted me to the hospital here for 2 weeks, and got me fixed up to a point where I was getting better, type of thing. But I was still dizzy, still couldn't get rid of it, and like I said, tried every single person out there that you can think that knew vertigo or knew how to beat vertigo and go through it. Tried every freaking process that you can probably do. And then finally, I watched Gary Brecka and Dana White's whole testimony, what he did with Dana, and gave Gary a call and I was like, dude, I got to come see you. He said, come on down to Miami. So I went
And
down
you
to
were
this
still
place.
vertigoed?
Yeah, it wasn't as bad, but it was still there. You know what I'm saying? I'm still, I'm walking like I'm on a cruise boat the whole time, right? Like everything's dizzy. And if you look to the left side was worse because that's where the weakness was. And, Gary did a whole gene testing and put me on things and found out all my deficiencies, and we cleaned it up. And, thank God, knock on wood, I'm very thankful.
Yeah, that would be that'd be a horrible disease.
Dude.
So did they say
with a gun? I probably would have shot myself.
Did they say it was vertigo?
Yeah, they said it was vertigo with an infection, which made it a perfect storm. Is how they could describe it. That's all they could describe it, because nobody really knew why it lasted so long and how it occurred. Listen, I'm sitting in a pool in Italy with my son. We're swimming, having a good time. I get out of the pool, and then all of a sudden, I start spitting. I'm throwing up projectile like I'm possessed. I mean, shit's coming. People are bringing their cameras over there. I'm going to be the next guy on the video. I'm going to be the YouTube star. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody knew what the fuck was wrong with me. And then that whole, just trying to get a chair through Italy. Italy's really tight. All the hallways and everything's tight. I'm sure you've been there. You know that, right? Through a hotel. Try to get a lay down cart through. They couldn't do it. So they're trying to pick me up and bring me down and get me on that. And of course, that was during the Easter time. So they had the Easter ceremony where people were walking the streets and doing the ceremonies for the Catholics and all that. Because we were going to take my parents to to Rome for Easter and do the whole kit and caboodle. And getting in the ambulance. Listen, when they put me in the ambulance, I can't make this shit up. Literally, when the ambulance took off, I went out the door opened up. I almost ended up on the freaking road. Okay, they had to stop the freaking ambulance and go. And that's how I got infection in my arm, because they were trying to put the needle in. And they couldn't get the needle. And I'm veiny as hell. I don't know how you can't find a vein. But I'm almost out. It was like a freaking movie in itself. I'm almost on the streets, okay, where they had stopped, boom, down. Now they tie me down to the bed. I'm tied down. Of course, they wouldn't let anybody in the ambulance with them. And we're a bunch of foreigners, so, and I'm sitting there going,
dizzy.
Yeah. Oh, see, I couldn't do a thing. I couldn't do a thing but pray. And like I said, me and God got really close, and I had David Goggins in my head saying, you don't fucking know me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't fucking going down like this, type of thing, and just fucking stay alive, stay survival.
What kind of shit did Gary give you?
Gary just gave me, like the methylene vitamin, just kind of getting all the defificiencies and stuff. Put me on a program. At that time, he was with 10X.
The 5-methylfolate?
Yeah, I got
or the methylene blue?
No, it was. Listen, he gave me a bag. I don't know what was in it. I just trusted him. At that time, I didn't care. It was like, I got nothing to lose, everything to gain, right? You can't hurt me worse. I feel miserable as it is, so you can only make me better.
How long ago was that?
It's been about 2 years.
That's it?
Yeah, 2 years, because I started a podcast. Yeah, so for sure, yeah. And stuff. But since then, I work with Gary, and I've been doing the superhuman protocol. I do the red light, the cold plunge. I try to stay on everything.
Are you worried that the cold plunge might shock it back?
No, but I was worried about the hyperbaric chamber doing that because of the pressure, the air pressure. So they did tell me to stay out of that because of ear pressure, sometimes in the ears, boom, and you can bang that, because hyperbaric chambers, everybody's like, it's good for healing and everything else. But yeah, with that pressure, you got to be careful. And I do worry about it popping back up, because that was not fun at all.
So are you close with Gary now?
So yeah, me and Gary are straight. Like I said, I owe a lot of where I am today. I thank him.
Well, sure.
It's tough. So, but I feel bad he's going through the whole thing that he did with 10X and Grant and all that. He's just a good person. His family's great. His son's great. Like, they're just good people. I like good people. You know what I mean? So regardless of how much you got and what you did, I don't care. If you're a good person, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, me too. And I like Gary. Gary came on the podcast a long time ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, before a lot of people knew who he was.
Oh, nice. You should release that again.
What?
Bring it back out. Bring it back alive. We have to see it. You need to pump it back up. Tell them to put it back into the cycle.
Well, what happened was, we were talking about that gene test, and when the episode drops, he called me and he said, "Dude, we're getting so many calls, it's unbelievable."
Right.
And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, dude. Like, we're out of tests." Then I started getting people going, "Hey, dude, I ordered it and I haven't got it." I go, "Bro, like we swamped them."
Right.
And he was like freaking so grateful.
Yeah.
Because it was like right in the beginning.
Yep.
He wasn't even 10X health yet, I don't think.
Right. He had his own, and then
it was streamlined.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Grant got in there and started, making him a deal.
Yep.
Hey, yeah, let me have it. We'll 10X this shit.
Yeah, let's quick.
And so then, he partnered up with Grant, and Grant's a great marketer. So I thought, oh, dude, he's on his way.
Yeah.
And then long story short, somehow he ended up with Dana, and then Dana said
that changed
what he said. Dude, that shot him up way up.
Game changer.
And now, dude, then he went on Joe Rogan.
Yep.
And Joe Rogan, he told me they did 17 million in those tests in one day.
Right.
When Joe Rogan hit.
I got a fucking challenge for you.
What?
How many tests did he do when he was on your show?
I don't know.
A lot. How many fucking books are we going to sell? That's a challenge for you right now. I want to tell the viewers, challenge to you right now. Let's see who Bradley really is.
Well, Bomb Squad, come on now. Back me up here.
Let's go.
And by the way, I haven't read the book, but I would tell you, based on what you said's in there, I think not only should you get one for yourselves, but you should probably get one for your kids, get one for your friends, and just, again, I always try to threaten people. I say, go give me a review.
Yeah.
And I only have a couple thousand reviews. So people don't listen. They just watch. But I'll bet you'll get people wanting a job. I'll bet you get people calling you up about shit. And I'll bet you do sell some books. But for some reason, when I ask them to, they never do. I didn't say go get a test. Just they listen to Gary, and he makes it pretty convincing too.
Listen, it was the best thing I ever did, and I recommend it to everybody, really, because you don't know what's going inside your body. And at the end of the day, it's a bunch of energy, right? It's not a bunch of molecules, a bunch of energy. You don't know. Scientifically, it's different. And everything he says, he dumbs it down for you. It makes sense. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
And, and it's worked. So I'm a big believer. People could say all they want. There's haters out there too, whatever. But the reality is, man, if you didn't try and you can go through, I witnessed it. I went through it.
I was wondering what he gave you, because he gave me, what was it called? The 5-methylfolate, because I got the motherfucker gene.
Yeah, I got it too. That was the same. That was one of them. But it was a 10X out, because at the time he was with 10X.
But I took him. Nothing really changed.
Really?
I had no problems. I've, knock on wood, and thank God, I've been blessed with no pain, no real problems.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I went to get a checkup the other day, just a standard physical, and the doc's like, what medications are you on? I said, none.
That's awesome. That's good.
He said, you're not on any medications?
I'm not on any now.
I said, no. He goes, you're not on any medications. And I'm like, what do you think, I'm lying to you?
Tell me, right?
I go, no. What medication should I be on? He said, well, at your age, dude, people are usually on 3-4 medications.
That's right. Yep.
And so fortunately, I didn't feel anything different, but I've always felt great. Mm-hmm. Just like when I did testosterone.
Right.
They said, oh man, you get low testosterone, you're going to feel this and you're going to feel that. And I felt great. So I'm thinking, well, my shit's not low yet. Well, at 54, I said, hey, let me get my blood work done. Uh-huh. So I went and got my blood work done at this ageless clinic, because I want to stay ageless.
Sure.
And
biohack, baby.
And they came out and they said, your testosterone's at 452. And I said, is that good?
Low.
And they said, well, it's good for your age.
For a woman?
He said, it's good for your age. He said, but you could probably, you qualify basically to take tests if you want to. I said, well, what should it be? He said, we like to keep the patients right around 900.
Right.
About double. And I said, well, what will be the difference? He said, oh, you'll feel much more vibrant, and you'll
ask your wife.
Yeah. And he's like, you'll feel all these great things. And so I'm like, well, sure, let's do it. I didn't feel any great things from test either.
No.
But
I didn't feel anything better. You a little more drive, a little bit more energy?
No.
Didn't go a little longer, a few more seconds?
Nope.
It's all the same. All right.
It's the same.
What kind of, maybe you weren't getting good tests. I don't know.
No, I was getting it prescribed.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think I'm blessed.
Yeah, you're a freak. If you never had any of that pain, and that's awesome.
Never had pain. Although I almost got vertigo when the ear crystal went out.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you're not born as an Italian kid in an Italian family with an Italian restaurant weight was something we always had to worry about. You know what I mean? Because all we did was, let's go out and have a bite to eat, type of thing. So, that's always, you're fighting that. And of course, then as you get older, you're fighting the cholesterol, you're fighting the sugar, you're fighting the diabetes, all that stuff. So I'm not, knock on wood, I'm not on nothing either right now, which is awesome. So it's definitely, I'm a big firm believer, get the gene test in, supplement yourself, what you need, and do the right things on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So definitely put more effort into my health.
Well, I'm glad you came in. Folks, don't make me look like a jerk off with the influence of a pickle. Okay, go get yourself Money Management Rules for Beginners. Go follow them on social media at Wham Bam Podcast. And by the way, that's another thing.
Yeah.
If I was you, I'd go get a Phil Beniamino.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, people follow people.
Yeah. I got a Life of Phil Beniamino. It's my personal.
Which one?
It's called Life of Wham Bam, actually. Now they mentioned it, but it's my personal one. But yeah.
On Instagram?
On Instagram as well.
It's what?
It's Life of Wham Bam.
At Life of Wham Bam.
Yep, is my personal.
Just like
one.
it sounds, Wham Bam.
Yep.
Go follow this dude. I'm gonna have you back.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Matter
that.
Matter of fact, I'm definitely gonna have you back.
Yeah, twice, because I'm gonna be back in your studio.
Well, I'm gonna be on yours
mine too. That's right.
But I'm gonna have you back here.
Okay.
In Dropping Bombs once again.
Love it,
folks. Go follow this dude. Go buy his book, Money Management Rules for Beginners. If you guys are looking for side hustles and main hustles, dude, he's got training. He should have a training system here pretty soon. So you get trained on demand. You can work wherever you want. Laptop lifestyle. Yeah. Make recurring revenue. And if for some reason he's not available, just hit me up. Come work for me. Till next time, folks. Keep it real.